welcome to Cover Story. As the Narendra Modi government finishes 1 year in office, we have with us senior Congress leader Anand Sharma and also one of the very articulate faces from the Congress who's been attacking the Modi government. You're one of the chief attackers of the Congress party.
No, it's a duty to perform the role of the opposition, which is absolutely essential to maintain the balance in a democracy, particularly in a parliamentary system, where in Lok Sabha the government has a very strong majority. Therefore, in Rajya Sabha, where we have the numbers, it becomes important for us to ensure that what the government is doing does not escape legislative scrutiny, which the government is trying to do by bringing in ordinances, trying to bypass parliament, and that we are effectively checking, at least in the Rajya Sabha.
But you have Arun Jaitley, one of your Rajya Sabha colleagues, saying that the parliament is being held to ransom, the elected house is being held to ransom by an unelected house.
Arun Jaitley should not have said it, because he is intelligent. I'm sure that he has very good memory. Sometimes it's a case of selective amnesia. Arun Jaitley was the leader of opposition.
From the Rajya Sabha.
In Rajya Sabha for 5 years, and Sushma Swaraj was in the Lok Sabha. And he is on record. When session after session was derailed, not disrupted, there are many sessions of the parliament where no business could be transacted because of BJP's disruption. Now, at that time, they said it's a legislative form of protest and functioning by the opposition in a democracy. That's Arun Jaitley's words. So disruption, he said, is legitimate. We are not disrupting. We are raising an issue when the parliament is not being respected and parliament is being treated as a rubber stamp.
But when you oppose for the sake of opposition, like the GST, you know, that's something you have been espousing.
No, that's not true. I'll come to that.
Okay.
But before it, I would like to say one thing. Government recently has come up with a statement, and so is Arun Jaitley, that 41 bills have been passed since our government came. Now, how did these 41 bills pass? Because of us. Because we are mature as an opposition party. We are not irresponsible as they were. BJP has the worst record.
You're blaming your not being able to pass bills on them.
Yes, because we were not able to, because they disrupted. If you go by these are published books of both the houses, they just had bedlam in the houses. They did not allow. Entire sessions were washed away.
But you wouldn't say that they have a better parliamentary affairs minister than you did.
No, I won't say that. I won't say that, because we are being more responsible. We also had good parliamentary affairs ministers. So it's not a case of good or bad. And it's the duty of a parliamentary affairs minister to ensure that they keep on engaging with the opposition. In fact, the Prime Minister should have been doing it more, but this Prime Minister from the day one has embarked on a path of confrontation. But on the GST, since you asked me this question, we are not opposed to GST. I would like to make it abundantly clear. We brought it, we have supported it. We were very keen that GST was rolled out. In fact, when Pranabji was the finance minister, he tried his best.
Where was the opposition at that time from?
It came from the BJP. No, the BJP mainly, not from the left. And leading the charge was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, who is now the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. So he has to explain that why he thought that GST was bad then and GST is good now.
You know, you had said something earlier that the Prime Minister's embarked on a confrontation from day one. But you know what happened to you? Let's talk about the ex-Prime Minister. In the morning, he attacks Modi. In the afternoon, evening, he goes and has tea with him. I mean, in that way...
No, he did not attack Modi. Dr. Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh is a very dignified, decent person and very polite. He only talked about what this government is doing
or not doing.
And that it lacks a vision. What is claiming to be its own is actually what we were doing in any case. Whether it was the Make in India or the financial inclusion, the Jan Dhan, he's changing the names. No, his going there should not be linked to that.
Okay, why did he go there? That's the other question. Did he go there? Did the Congress leadership know that Manmohan Singh is going there?
You see, he was invited. This meeting took place at the behest of the present Prime Minister.
All right.
And Dr. Manmohan Singh's office issued a statement. I personally spoken to Dr. Manmohan Singh after the meeting. And he had invited him. Since the present Prime Minister inviting the former Prime Minister for a discussion, and the discussion was restricted to two subjects. He wanted to discuss with him the state of the economy and how strong the recovery in his view is, because Dr. Manmohan Singh has handled economy right from 1991 when he was the finance minister, and he also discussed specifically some of the international engagements. Now, mind you, when the Prime Minister travels and meets with heads of states or governments of our strategic partners, be it Russia or France or Germany or US or UK,
17
they would,
countries.
yes, they would be discussing few things. And some things which they talk one-on-one. And if there is a way to cross-check the past understandings reached on a matter, then only the former Prime Minister would know. Now, we have only two former Prime Ministers for that purpose who have served long periods. One is Atalji, who unfortunately is ill. His health is not good. And the other one is Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was there for 10 years. So he's the immediate predecessor. So nothing more should be read into that meeting.
Nothing about 2G, because we've been...
No question, of course. And Dr. Manmohan Singh would be the last one. And I don't think the present Prime Minister would also drag his office dignity to such a low level to discuss such matters. It's not the work for the Prime Ministers to get into this.
But it has become personal, because the current Prime Minister gave an interview recently where he said he declared Sonia Gandhi's office as unconstitutional. They've also been criticizing Dr. Manmohan Singh, who told us that I am not corrupt. But it's not okay for just the Prime Minister himself not to be corrupt, but there should be generally no corruption under his watch.
You see, there was enough corruption under Narendra Modi's watch in Gujarat.
But two wrongs don't make a
right.
right.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. The jury is still out. The jury is still out. But first Prime Minister is wrong. After 1 year, he should give account of what he has done about the promises that he sold to the people of India. He came on a tidal wave of hopes, and those hopes are shattered. Now he's still attacking the opposition. We are no more in government. So stop it. You are in office. You have all the agencies at your disposal. We are a rule-based, rule-governed country. There are due processes of law. If any wrongdoing has been there, take action. Nobody is petitioning to you not to do that. So stop, engaging in these theatrics on a daily basis. It happened during the election campaign. Now that hangover should go. 1 year is enough for a hangover to last. We hope that it lasts only for the first quarter. But I'm surprised that what a strong hangover he is carrying, he and his party colleagues, who instead of talking about what their policies are, what the roadmap is for economic recovery, economy is in a bad shape. It's not a surging economy, it's a struggling, sputtering economy. He's not talking about that. Now, about Mrs. Gandhi, it's unfair on the Prime Minister's part. Let's see that how we functioned. We were a coalition government of the UPA, leadership was that of the Congress. So in a coalition, there was always a core group which used to discuss matters.
But there was the impression that there was remote control or a rubber stamp Prime Minister in place.
No, that's not true.
That is the impression, and that was a dominant theme of the campaign that worked against you.
There's a difference between perception and reality.
Okay. You're going to say the reality is not true.
No. Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. He took decisions, and contrary to the impression of his being very soft, he's a very strong-willed leader. When he took a decision, he stood firm, and he will not then bend. For example, the government literally went to the wire on Indo-US nuclear agreement and also on multi-brand retail. These are the cabinet decisions taken. He stood firm. Then once the decision was made, Dr. Manmohan Singh won't compromise. And it's the cabinet which took the decisions. Now, I'll tell you where the difference is. Mrs. Gandhi is also the president of the Indian National Congress and the chairperson of the UPA. But she was not attending cabinet meetings. She was not telling the cabinet what to do. But
the latter, there are letters where she has been directing the Prime Minister.
No, that is through a body. Letter anybody can write. Any member of parliament has a right, but she was the chairperson of the National Advisory Council. Amit Shah speaks day in and day out. He is not. No, he is only the party president. Look at his conduct. And how many times did Mrs. Gandhi tell what the government should do and not?
But Amit Shah speaks publicly. Mrs. Gandhi's
Mrs. Gandhi had the correctness. There's different personalities, I'm sorry to say.
No, but you made the comparison, so I was just
No,
taking
I
it
made
forward.
I made the comparison for this purpose, that he's only a party president. He's neither a member of parliament nor a member of
All
the
right.
cabinet.
Okay.
But he is commenting day in and day out on government policies. But more importantly, look at the other organization, because that's the mother body. They come from that stock, the RSS. Now, RSS is extra-constitutional. What business do they have? They nominate the BJP president. They send their leaders on deputation to the BJP.
Some would say 10 Janpath is the RSS
No,
of the
I'm
Congress.
sorry. That would be outrageous for anyone to say that. RSS has an ideology. It has a way of functioning, and it has the hypocrisy and lack of correctness and honesty, not even to admit that it is meddling from morning till night in politics, because everybody knows, and then they say we have nothing to do with politics. They nominate people or send them on deputation to work for the BJP. Every ministry today has a RSS nominee in the minister's office. Ministers can't appoint even their private secretaries. This is universal knowledge. Another thing where there is a difference between Modi's government and our government. Yes. We had a real cabinet. If you look at the strength of the UPA cabinet.
Prime Minister wasn't even elected.
No, I'm talking of cabinet.
Okay.
The cabinet ministers took their decision, because in a cabinet form of government, the accountability to the parliament is not of Prime Minister, but though it's collective responsibility, but of the cabinet minister. In this case, cabinet ministers are accountable without any authority, because the decisions have been making power is concentrated in the PMO.
Some would say we needed that, because during
you are not a
Manmohan Singh,
presidential
the
form of
Prime Minister was not there. We didn't see who
Prime
was
Minister,
in charge.
you don't need somebody who has to enter into a boxing ring. Prime Minister must have intellect and correct understanding of this country. Governing a state is different. Governing India is, as I said, complex. So you cannot bring a chief ministerial mindset to a prime ministerial office. That's the problem which this government has.
Okay. You've also been a former commerce minister, so can I bring you to the two things that you mentioned, FDI and retail, and the nuclear deal. Why is it that this government has been able to implement these better? They've taken the Congress ideas, I grant you
they
that,
have not.
But the implementation is much better than...
First of all, Indo-US nuclear agreement was what we did.
Right.
We scripted it. They tried to topple our government on that.
Fair enough. But now...
No, now let me tell you. The commercial operationalization of the agreement in case of US. Why that was held up or delayed? Because of the nuclear liability bill, the law. And who inserted those amendments? Mr. Arun Jaitley, BJP. And they made it complex. It's a vindication of what we have been doing. And now these agreements were there, the understandings were there with Russia, with France, even with Canada. During the visit of Dr. Manmohan Singh in 2010, it was done. FDI in multi-brand retail, there is a flip-flop. They opposed everything from insurance to multi-brand to civil aviation.
Is it the fact that FDI and multi-brand we ran a lot of problems from within the Congress? People like Jairam Ramesh.
Yes, we had
your main
different
opposition
viewpoints.
was from within, which is not there in this government.
Well, but the end result is that we succeeded. There was a consensus. It's good that people debated it, but there was a consensus that emerged.
Debate became a stumbling block.
No, but finally we implemented it.
Finally, it wasted a whole lot of time.
No, because of the BJP. Finally we had the parliament vote. Now they keep on saying, we will reverse it. As a result, they will shake the investors' confidence.
Jaitley has said continuity. He's talked about it.
He also says that, but we are not in favor, it can be reversed. So Jaitley is also not, singing very happy songs for the investors. He has to be careful. He is one who understands the need to get in more investment. When you have e-commerce coming in, why don't you have FDI where the mandatory condition is that 50% will go to create the back-end infrastructure. That's the cold chains, the processing zones. It's mandatory. That's part of the policy. They should be celebrating it rather than having a situation where people are ordering online. And look at most of the shopping malls. They are going empty now. The footfalls are not there, and people are not making money, and the shutters are coming down. So this government needs to wake up to send a positive message to the investors. And another thing what I must tell you is on the taxation issue. Now Arun Jaitley said tax terrorism when they were Vodafone tax and some other retrospective taxes issues. Now under his watch, same thing is happening, and these two words have come back to haunt him. This is a fact. He should have been careful then, like on many other things. And now on the FPI, the taxation on the MAT, you know that in the month of May itself, these FPIs pulled out almost 4 lakh crores because you are not sure on their taxation policy. Finance minister says one thing, okay, we will not do it, and then there's CBDT, then they have already raised the tax.
We need to take a quick break, but don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to be continuing my questioning with Anand Sharma, and I'm going to be asking him about foreign policy, which, as you know, is his forte. We are talking to former cabinet minister and Congress leader Anand Sharma. Another forte of yours is foreign policy. Prime Minister Modi has been claiming foreign policy is one of his big achievements. Would you concur? Would you at least give him that?
Well, visibility and having cheerleaders around does not make a successful foreign policy. Statecraft must have gravitas. Foreign visits are not events to be managed. Nobody is bothered how many time you change your clothes and what you do, whether you can play a flute or beat a drum, and how many people you carry or the diaspora cheering you. No other foreign leader, number one, goes to another country, because when you travel as the head of your country.
Correct.
You then don't go and start berating your country, berating all your predecessors on foreign soil, and that has become a penchant with Shri Narendra Modi.
But you know, the Congress said we will send our people to shadow.
No, it's not a question.
Nobody goes.
No, it's not
Congress
that.
Doesn't
We don't want to criticize the Prime Minister because we respect institutions. What we will counter him, and we can do that. Sitting here today, you have international wire agencies, we have our own wire agencies and media. Everybody is present there. That what he is saying is wrong, because to say that India used to beg earlier, it's an insult to the country. Means now the world recognizes
India. Ashamed
India.
of being an Indian.
Ashamed of being an Indian. No, earlier it used to be a misfortune to be born in India, and people used to be ashamed to call themselves Indian. No, this is a slap the face of the country. And then to say that scam India, India cannot be a scam. You can say there was a scam in India, there was a scam in Gujarat, there was a scam in Delhi, but it doesn't mean India is scam. We are a great nation and great achievements to our credit. And he suffers from a mindset which is not healthy. See, he perhaps does not know that leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru were received at the airport by Truman. Our other prime ministers addressed the joint sessions of parliament, including Dr. Manmohan Singh or Rajiv Gandhi and everyone. No. But in his case, Mr. Obama did not come even up to the courtyard of the White House. And how can you go to a president's house and take 50 people outside who are cheering your slogans? It's not correct behavior. You go to the G20 summit and you have a few people or few hundred people raising your slogan. It's the 20 heads of states and governments. If Cameroon had to do that, he would have had 200 times bigger a crowd, because there are more people of British origin living in Australia.
For him or not?
No, why not? Why not?
See, the problem...
this is not a correct conduct.
But the thing is that, Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh had a standing. He was already known before he became Prime Minister. Yet his visits didn't make as much as a splash.
No, because he was...
Then Modi's.
No, he was not a showman. Mr. Modi is a showman.
So granted that world is taking notice of India, we are getting
notice. No, world was taking notice of India earlier. No, listen.
He has at least shaken up the world. Give him
what
that
shaken
much.
Up? Means you have not become...
He's created an impression that India has arrived.
Well, India had arrived much before. India had reached...
India had become
India was acknowledged IT power. India was an acknowledged economic power. India was an acknowledged space power.
Yes.
A nuclear power before Mr. Modi arrived on the scene, and the world knows it. People have the intelligence. No, he is not just merely a salesman. What has he got in return? Exports are falling. Investments have not come in manufacturing. Look at the numbers. Your core sector manufacturing is down to 0.1. Your construction industry is completely collapsed. Steel has collapsed. Cement has collapsed. Jobs have not been created. Jobs are being lost. They have not been able to sustain the exports where we left.
Yet, despite this dismal picture, when you ask people who would they prefer, Modi is still very high. Yes, he's dipping, but the gap between him and Rahul is still huge.
No, it's not a question of gap between him and Rahul. It's a question of
Congress or BJP,
no, it's
Rahul
a question
or
of
Modi.
what through the intense use of this propaganda and the massive resources at their disposal, they have been able to create a
resources
No, we hardly had even in the last
government.
No, even if you look at the last election, there was no comparison or match. Means these people outpaced Congress by at least 1 to 15.
They have planned better.
No, well, this is where. So event management is much better.
Jovi, but it's working.
No, but I don't think so. I personally feel that here again, for this entire 1 year celebration or whatever it is, it's hardly a celebration if you look at the way we are, but there's a huge spending going on, both by the BJP and mainly by the government. So nobody is going to make you unhappy. But at the same time, if you go to the villages, if you go to the rural people, okay, whose Achhe Din have arrived? Forget about that 15 lakhs which they had to deposit in people's account. You keep on making wrong statements. When you were in opposition, you could afford it. But in government, you cannot. Like all his statements in Mathura have fallen flat because he gave wrong numbers. It's a gaffes galore. Today, the poor person, the villagers, the farmers, they are in distress. Despite the sharp decline in the global crude prices, the benefit has not been passed on to the consumers. When crude price was $112 per barrel, when we demitted office, petrol was selling in Delhi at 71 rupees. Today it is 58, 59, 60. But it's selling at 65.
But the
so it should have been.
They need to fill the coffers which the Congress has left empty.
No, that's not. We left a positive balance.
All right.
Number one, we left a foreign exchange reserve of 300 billion US dollars. Exports stood at 315. They have not been able to maintain that. And the forex reserves have risen, that's true. But how? More money has come into debt instruments. You know, FBI money, as you and I are talking, if suddenly there is a tremor in Washington or US Fed sneezes, then you may have 10, 20 billion going out by the time we finish this interview. This is what the portfolio investments are. And we have to be very careful.
On the last note before we end, I'm going to say I must compliment you. You're wearing a very smart suit boot. So why has your government made it a bad word?
These are the fatigues. And these are the fatigues which I have been wearing during my proactive engagement with the South African struggle against apartheid. So these safaris are actually from South Africa. So they are identified with the struggle of the people. I don't have a monogrammed suit.
On that note, we'll end now. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Well, that's all from us this week. Thank you for watching this edition of Cover Story. We'll be back again same time next week.